Hey guys, this is Carla, and this time I'm here to review episode 3 of season 2 of Marvel's Agent Carter. This episode is titled Better Angels, and okay, let's start with the main thing. This episode is basically a filler. Okay, it is what it is. So, I didn't necessarily love it. I thought it was okay, but definitely not as good as the previous ones were for me. It felt like nothing really happened. I mean, a lot of going around and, arguing about things and trying to find out things, but not really a lot of progress. So, yeah, I mean, it wasn't a bad episode. I just wish there had been a little bit more action, but, in a season, you usually have to have some episodes where the pace goes down. So, I accept that. I just wish there had been something more interesting to do. As far as the details go, though, there were quite a few parts that I liked, and then there were parts that I didn't like. Starting with what I didn't like was just okay, this show being set in the 40s and everything and being Marvel, it's supposed to have a kind of whimsy. A little bit of it, at least. It's just the whole thing with Howard's car and how he always uses it to get women and stuff like that. I mean, little details like that, but I felt in this episode they went a little bit overboard with the whimsy and with the funny. Okay, it started off as when Peggy and Jarvis go find Howard, right, at his set, and there's the whole thing where you're in the frame and they kind of nudge over to one side and then you're still in the frame. Okay, that would have been okay by itself, but then they kept going with the funny and the whole thing about him having, all those women in the party and whatnot, and then he took all those women to the club, and it was just, it felt a bit, that whole plan felt a bit Scooby-Doo to me. I wish they could have come up with something a little bit more serious. I don't know. I mean, it's okay. It got Peggy where she had to be, but it was a bit too easy for me, a bit too cartoonish, so I didn't like that. And quite honestly, I don't really like Howard as a film producer, honestly. I really enjoyed when he got back to what he does best, which is the science, later on in the episode. So that part I liked. But I don't necessarily buy him as a film producer, and I think they went a little bit overboard on the womanizer, whimsy, funny aspect of it. I did enjoy, though, that little quip about him making a movie about a comic book. And Peggy's like, that's preposterous. And I'm like, are you... That was perfect. Great. Very clever, Marvel. I really like that. And like I said, when Howard got back to the science, which is what he does best, I actually liked him. Actually, it's almost like him and Wilkes are almost like the original Science Bros, because they're both like so really excited about doing the science and stuff and sharing ideas, and it's very reminiscent of Tony Stark and Bruce Banner in the Avengers movies in a way. So that was kind of interesting to me. I also felt like Jarvis was being very butlery today, which is not necessarily a bad thing because he is a butler, but usually when he's helping Peggy, it's more than just, it's a bit more involved than just driving her around or showing her where she has to go, or, herding Howard out when it's needed. It's like, I wish he could have done a bit more. I'm hoping for that. Actually, I quite liked his quip about how, when Peggy was training and he was like, well, if you need a spare partner, and then Peggy just kind of starts hitting the punching bag like really hard, and he's like, well, I'm sure Mr. Stark can get you one. Yeah, that made me laugh. It's so Jarvis. But I wish he had something better to do in this episode. then there was the whole let's make Wilkes visible again. I mean, I'm happy on the one hand because I totally got it right that he didn't die. On the other hand, what the heck happened? Like, is he in some kind of alternate dimension? Did he just go immaterial for some reason? Obviously, whatever explanation they try to give is going to just be, like, completely made up, so... And then the whole thing where they took it because he was light, like, I don't know, electromagnetic waves or something, they were able to, like, resolve it like a camera. And then all of a sudden, not only could you see him, but he could also speak. I'm like, really? I don't think the, whatever amount of matter is in that solution you just sprayed him with is able to vibrate like a vocal cord. I mean, I know I shouldn't be looking for things to make sense in a comic book TV show because, come on, this is sci-fi and I should expect them to stretch the truth, but this time, I mean, usually I don't matter. I'm sorry, I don't care. I can buy it, but this one just was like, nope. I'm sorry, that pushes my suspension of disbelief far more than I usually like it to be pushed. So that one just made me roll my eyes and go like, yeah, no. I mean, I'm glad that Wilkes is back again. I like Wilkes. I think he's really sweet. I like that he's back, but at the same time, it's like, really? Really? You couldn't just have him survive? No, he had to go to another dimension or whatever it is that happened to him. I don't know. It's just, I just shake my head. I'm sorry. I'm a science person, so sometimes, I mean, most of the time I can just suspend my disbelief and just go with it because I know it's sci-fi, fantasy, whatever, and I shouldn't expect things to make too much sense, but there are times like this one that I just can't. It's too much for my brain. So, but I did like that they brought, Wilkes back. As I said, I didn't expect him to die. Honestly, I don't know that they will actually be able to bring him back. I don't know. I mean, it's nice to have him around for a little bit more, but I don't think he's going to like be a permanent fixture in this thing. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure what they're gonna do with him. Then there's the whole Jack thing. I mean, Thompson comes to LA, basically takes the case away from Peggy as he's normally want to do. But he's being a bigger asshole than normal. Now, I know from experience in the previous season that Thompson is an a-hole of the grandest kind if he wants to be, and he will never admit straight up that Peggy's right, but eventually, he will do the right thing. So I'm not too concerned that they're going to make him evil or anything. I'm sure that in the end he's going to see that, hey, you know, what Peggy was saying makes sense and we have to do something, and if I have to sacrifice my, my newfound, position, then I will do it for my country or whatever. I know in the end he'll do the right thing because he's not a bad guy, he's just a D-bag. So it will take him a while, but I think he will do it. And we see the beginnings of that in here when he actually watched the tape when Peggy told him to watch it, and it's interesting. So yeah, I don't necessarily know where they're going with this club thing. I still don't think that Frost and her husband are going to be the big bads. I think they're being led by something or someone else. I get the feeling that it's going to turn up to be Kurtwood Smith, because I don't know, it's just that one guy I know he's got to be the bad guy. That's usually the way it happens, because he's kind of the more recognizable out of all of them. But yeah, I'm not entirely sure where the club fits in yet. I mean, again, it's a place where all the important people get together and make decisions about the world and what they're going to make of it. I just don't know what the end game is yet. As far as Frost goes, I like. Well, first of all, I'm really happy that not only is she an actress and a good one at that. I loved that little trick where she started crying and her husband's like, "No, wait, I let me comfort you." It was so funny, and she's a great actress. She really is. Not only is she a great actress, but she's also freaking, world-known scientist. It's mind-blowing. I had already mentioned this before in the first in my review for the first episode. It's like, oh yeah, you have. Not only do you have a black dude who's a really smart scientist, you also have a woman who's a really smart scientist, and now you have another one who, basically made the discovery of the century on her own. I do wonder why she, why she decided to not continue in the science thing. Why she moved to acting. I mean, she's good at it, but it seems like a weird career diversion. I don't know. And then I don't know. Is she Russian? Is she going to turn out to be Russian? Like, what? How is Dottie involved in all of this? It's good that the show is keeping me asking these questions because that means that I'm interested. In this episode, there wasn't much progress about the answers. I really liked Frost in this episode. I think she's really kick-ass. She might not be able to fight like Peggy, unless she turns out to be another Russian spy. You never know. But she's cunning. She's smart. She knows how to manipulate people. And even so, she's still in a vulnerable position because of the whole, weird thing possessing me thing. It's like Spawn. It's almost like Spawn. I wonder, does Marvel have the rights to? I don't know. Venom, maybe. Do they have? I know that now they have a deal with Spider-Man, with Sony about Spider-Man, but I don't think that extends to their TV shows, so I don't know. This Zero Matter thing is really, really interesting, and at the same time really, really creepy. I swear to God, it looks like Venom. It really looks like a symbiote. So, I like that at the end, it kind of went out of control. I mean, first of all, that dude, I guess he's like her agent or her director. I don't know what he was, but he was a creep. He was such a creep, and I feel so bad for women who had to live in the 40s and had to actually go through that kind of stuff, because I would have kicked him hard. Okay, that he's a creep. Come on. And I mean, I'm sure she didn't mean to kill him. It just kind of happened. But it's interesting how the Zero Matter reacts to the stuff that's around her. It didn't seem cold either. That's why I'm wondering, because I mean, Howard said that Peggy was colder than the rest of the room. That was because Wilkes was around her. But Frost, I mean, wouldn't the guy have noticed if she was colder? So if she has a Zero Matter inside her, she should be colder than anything in the room, right? So why does it affect her differently? Why doesn't she end up like the girl in the lake or the cop or the coroner? Why is it different with her? So I want them to explain that. I don't think they will, honestly, but I want them to explain that. And just overall, I liked the fact that Susan was still supporting Peggy, even though even though Jack is basically on the same level as him and Peggy's not. It's interesting because I think Susan's very much like me in that sense. It's like, okay, I know what's right and what's wrong, but I also know how to, or I hope I know how to say things so that they come across as right. You know, it's like, okay, we know that Thompson is being an a-hole and that he's totally wrong about kicking Peggy off of the case. He's totally wrong about that, and he should be listening to Peggy. But then yelling at him isn't really going to... Yelling at him and insulting him isn't really going to do much either. At least not in the 40s. Like, right now, yes, yell at him all you want, but in the 40s, that only made him even more hell-bent against Peggy and hell-bent to not do what she wants him to do. Because that's just the mentality of the time. So I think Sousa is trying to, be conciliatory between the two of them. It's like, yes, I know, Peggy, you're right, but at the same time, you have to do it smart. You have to get him to cooperate in a smart way, not just forcing him to, or attempting to force him to, because it's not going to work. He doesn't respond to that. So I like Susan's position in this thing. I wonder what's going to happen now that Peggy didn't leave. But I guess we'll see. I don't know. Again, wasn't a particularly action-filled episode or anything. It was very much a filler. It felt like a filler, but it wasn't bad. I liked it. I had a few laughs. I liked Frost. I thought she's doing really well. So far, she's really interesting. And I'm looking forward to seeing where things go from there, because so far the mystery is still a mystery. So the whole club thing, where Dottie is, what the heck Kurtwood Smith wants, is he the big bad? All that stuff, it hasn't been answered yet. So I'm looking forward to that, and hopefully the next episode will have a bit more action, because I did feel that it was lacking in this one. So yeah, that's about it for my review for this episode. As usual, be sure to visit our website at thegeekypub.com. We not only have reviews for other Agent Carter episodes, but we also have reviews for other TV shows, books, movies, games. We have a ton of stuff in there, so be sure to stop by, browse around. You'll find something you'll like, I'm sure. And also, if you guys want to be notified as soon as possible whenever we upload a new review, then you'll want to subscribe to our YouTube channel. The link should be right beneath this video frame. And that's usually where our reviews go up first. Even before they hit the website, they're usually up on YouTube, and subscribing is the fastest way to be notified whenever anything new goes up. So you do that, and I will see you guys in my next review. Bye.